Here we go. Today is gonna be one of those conversations I love to have because it's with a person I've watched from afar, and I love what he does, especially for the Black community. Nationally acclaimed journalist. To call this man candid, it's an understatement. Provocative, guess you'll say that. Unapologetic, definitely. Unfiltered by every stretch of the meaning of that word. And what I love about him is before party, he is 100% pro-Black. Please welcome Roland Martin. Roland, what up?
Glad to be here. Finally.
Glad to have you here, man. Roland Martin on VladTV. Who'd have thought? Okay, Roland. I want to go into your backstory a little bit, and then because I know you love talking about the issues. But let's understand who Roland Martin is, the person, then we'll bring it to the issues. Cool?
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay. You're born and raised in Houston, or is it Austin?
Houston, born and raised.
You're born and raised in Houston.
Yep.
Okay, what part?
Grew up in Clinton Park, literally right next to the ship channel. It was actually one of the first master planned communities by the Department of Housing and Urban Development for Black folks. My grandparents migrated, my maternal grandparents migrated from Opelousas, Louisiana, to Houston. And they, of course, they took up residence in Clinton Park. That's where my mom was born. That's where I was born and lived there my entire life until I graduated from college. And then went to Jack Yates High School, Magnet School of Communications, which is in 3rd Ward. Houston has a very robust magnet school system. And so for me, it came down to law enforcement and criminal justice and the School of Communications. Those were the two I chose in 8th grade, and then I settled on the School of Communications. So I've been doing media since I was 14 years old. So I haven't changed in 40 years.
Okay. You talked about communication. You've been doing media since very, very early.
Yep.
If anybody knows anything about you, you are a talker. I guess you say that. You have no problem with getting into it with people. And typically, you're going to defend your stance to the end, and you usually have your facts straight. Have you been like that all your life?
No, not usually. Always. Not usually. And you got to remember, I just said it came down to 2 schools. It was law enforcement and criminal justice, and it was School of Communications. So it was either going to be a lawyer or going to go into media. So, and that was the case. But the thing that people don't realize is that the intent was never to be in front of the camera. When I was in the 10th grade at Yates, Mary Waits was our television instructor. And we literally had a TV station, a radio station, a newspaper in our high school, in our magnet program. And the first semester, we could not go into the studio. We had to learn the glossary, the terms of cables, cameras, tripods, the actual definition. So the first day of the second semester, she unlocks the door. And then, so all the students, they race to the set. Well, math is math, okay? It's only 3 or 4 chairs. Everybody can't be in front of the camera. So I literally turned to her and I said, hey, where does the person sit who tells them what to do? And she says, that person sits over there in the control room. I said, I'll be in the control room. So I understood very early on, power was not in who was in front. That was influence. Power was who was actually in the control room. So the goal was never. So I was an excellent student in front of the camera and behind the camera, but it was behind the camera first. So I understood the power of media as opposed to the folk who wanted the attention and things along those lines. So that was always the case. But when you talk about debating and defending positions, I mean, look, my parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. Look, the Catholic church I was born and raised in Clinton Park was founded in my grandparents' living room. And so we grew up in a family. It wasn't where you had, kids were over there in one room, the men in one room and the women in one room. No, we were all in the same space. My maternal grandparents had 8 kids. They had 40. Those 8 kids had 42 kids. Those 42 kids had something like 70 plus kids. Those 70 plus kids had about 140 kids. So we understood Catholicism when it comes to how do you procreate and grow a family. So every Sunday, we only lived 8 blocks from my grandparents. So literally every Sunday, we were at my maternal grandparents' house. Growing up, my grandfather died when I was 15 years. So the first 15 years of my life, that was our life. I didn't have room for friends. I mean, I had, as my family was 5 of us, I had 37 cousins. I had room for friends. So we were all in the same space. And so debates took place. And those were vigorous debates, debates about politics, about religion. I mean, you name it. And kids we were not, it wasn't like, yo, y'all kids shut up and get out of here. No. If you wanted to get in on the debate, you could get in. But here was the deal. There was only one rule. You had to bring your shit. So it wasn't like, oh, take it easy on him because he's a kid. No, if you just have to jump your ass in that conversation, you had better be able to hang in that conversation. And so that's why I'm a mercenary when it comes to debate. Because, I mean, my whole thing is I want to put cats in rhetorical body bags. So I grew up, I mean, again, so you had to defend your position. Your arguments would get torn apart. So if you were not ready for that adult heat, sit your ass on the sideline. And that was really what I saw, what I experienced. And so, bruh, I was killing them in elementary school. I was debating in junior high school. I remember, man, we were in catechism. I'm probably 5th, 6th grade, and my brother is going at it with the catechism teacher, and he was 1 year ahead of me, so his class was right next to my class because it was all by grades. And then I start going at him. We had catechism teachers who were sitting here like calling our parents saying, you know, your sons are too aggressive. They're debating. Yo, man, we didn't care. You guys, the Knights of Peter Claver is the world's largest Black Catholic organization. So they have a junior division called Junior Knights of Peter Claver, Junior Daughters of Peter Claver. Man, we went to our first. We joined. My grandmother was like the president of the ladies chapter for years, and so we later joined. So man, we had a conference, our first state conference, St. Mary's Catholic Church in Houston. We're in the back of the room, man. They late. We sitting there like, man, what is going on? So we started talking. The dudes in front of us turned around. They were like, yeah, man, this makes no sense. So we just started bonding. Bro, we sat right there and said, man, this don't make any sense. We're going to take this thing over. We literally plotted the takeover.
How old was you at this time?
I was in 7th grade. So we're sitting there and seriously, we were like, yo, when's the election? And we looked up and said, hey, the election is this Sunday. We literally plotted the takeover and only one person from each branch could run. So my brother ran as a state officer, so I couldn't run. My job was to get the floor votes. Bruh, when that came on Sunday, them dudes didn't know they know where we came from. We won every position like 250 to 10 because we locked all the votes up. So again, I'm in the 7th grade. I was the one who rewrote our state constitution. Rewrote it. And so I remember we were in a meeting and the adults always ran the organization until we took over. We ran the budget. We ran everything. And I remember we were in a meeting and one of the adults, he just jumps up and starts talking. And I was like, excuse me, I'm going to let you take a seat. Bruh, I'm telling you, I'm in the 8th. This is the 8th grade now. I said, I'm going to let you take a seat. He goes, young man, excuse me. I said, you clearly have not read this section. No adult can actually speak in our meetings unless called upon. You have not been called upon by the president. I'm going to let you take a seat. His name was Joseph Valier. He was like one of the most powerful cats in the organization, but we wrote the rules. So the deal is when you got your facts, when you know the rules, when you know the game, you can control the game. So, bro, I'm in the 7th, 8th grade. Understood it. I witnessed my parents being, look, my parents didn't go to college, but they were founders of a civic club. Man, I was testifying before the city council when I was in junior high and high school. I would go to rallies at the state capitol with my mom when she was one of the 3 citywide co-chairs for the metropolitan organization, an interfaith coalition. So I saw that stuff early on. I saw politics early on. I saw how power operates. And so when you understand that, and my dad watched the news every day, read the paper, and so same thing. We had no choice because we had to watch the news as well. So again, you're well informed on the issues. And so, bro, I was debating teachers and other folks at church, and I'm talking about going hard. I mean, I'm talking about going hard. I didn't back down. And in fact, when you talk about backing down, I remember, I'm probably 3rd grade, 4th grade. I remember we had a kindergarten teacher. So when I went to Clinton Park Elementary School, then I went to the Vanguard program at Pleasantville Elementary School. And so there was these girls who they said I said something and I never said. But this kindergarten teacher, Mr. Johnson, he believed them. And so with this huge basketball game, it was like Vanguard kids versus the regular school. So it was always like a huge deal. So he said, unless you apologize, you ain't playing in this game. So I guess I ain't playing this game. Now, mind you, this is like the game of the year. Like look what it's the whole year. I'm like, I ain't say it. And I sat there for 4 periods, fully dressed, in the cafeteria, didn't move. So I ain't gonna back down. So when you see me debating and when you see me swinging, bro, that's been since elementary school.